Good morning, Eastview chemistry folks. You were probably thinking that while you were out of school, you wouldn't have to look at my ugly face every day, and too bad. We're going to have probably a little video every day just so we can stay in contact. Today is just a couple of practice problems, and then like a couple days ago, there'll be a worksheet posted up with, half a dozen or 4 or 5 problems, whatever. Again, download it, show me the math, put it back up. And there we go. A couple things before we get going. And you know this, and I know this, and the world knows it. The whole world goes on, well, maybe not the whole world, but a good chunk of the country goes on stay at home and distance learning. And there's a few companies like Schoology nationwide. And just like everything else going on right now, that nobody planned ahead that, or nobody would plan ahead that at one point you might need all those people on at once. So we know very well that Schoology is having issues. Hadn't been too bad today, but having issues, especially in the morning, as all these people log in. And trust me, we're doing our best to go with the flow. That's part of the reason why everything we do every day is really just a little bit of lecture and a few problems, not an overwhelming amount of problems. So, attendance-wise, this and that, whatever isn't working, just know that we all know, the faculty all know, and we'll work through these things, and nothing is set in stone. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of assignment every day, kind of like you'd work on your packet every day. And I think for some of you, that regimen has been better, that you've done more work, maybe you're learning a little more. But again, please do the work and try and submit. It's right now, it's not counting for points, but it is. I mean, I'm going to take that into consideration, kind of like I do your study guides when we do some testing. Couple things on that. Monday, we'll try, I've been waiting to see, other than little quizzes, I've been waiting to see Schoology resolve stuff and make sure everything is open and ready to go. So Monday, we'll actually have a little gas quiz that will count. Again, I've been holding off to do that until we made sure that technology was better and things are going on. So we'll try that Monday, depending on how that goes. Well, not depending on how that goes, but later in the week at an undetermined day, we will do our final exam for the quarter. Our final exam is just going to be a few problems. Not a few problems, but it's not going to be the 2-day multiple choice free response that we would normally have if we were in class. And it's only going to cover 2 subjects. It is not, I repeat, not going to cover gas laws yet. We're just pushing it off to quarter 3 because we don't want to overwhelm you right now. It will be stoichiometry and then the solution stuff with stoichiometry that we worked on before. Generally, my plan right now, although I'll give you more details as they develop, is just free response type questions where you need to show your work and give you the time to do that. That also is, some of you need to, with all this stuff, we didn't get quite caught up on some of our stoichiometry stuff, and we'll be getting you something to work on, a makeup exam for you to work on also, and I'll communicate directly with those folks that is involved with. So that is stuff, all that stuff is still up on Schoology for you to go back and review, and most of it is in your hands and stuff, but certainly that is questions you can ask at office hour, and really on anything going on, because many of you have other obligations at home with this crazy time. Maybe you're helping take care of the family, technology issues, this and that. Don't let it overwhelm you. Reach out. Send me an email. connect with me somehow, pop into one of the office hours. You can just send me a thing and say, you know, you need a moment to just to talk to me one-on-one during the office hour. And we can do that. We can set up a virtual waiting room. We can have that conversation. Every teacher is here for you to make this work around all the frustrations and stuff that are going on. So really just try and keep a regular routine going every day of getting on, doing your homework a little bit, do a little physical activity, do the responsibilities of what you got, and reach out for anything we can do to relieve the stress. I believe that I have tried to minimize the amount of work that is there, but that's also something you can send me on an email that it's just loading up too much. We can always make adaptations to try and help you out. All right. So anyhow, let's move on. We looked at the ideal gas law yesterday, and there it is, PIV-NERT, PV equals NRT. And we're just going to do a couple practice problems, and then I'll leave it for you to work on the worksheet that I have with, like I said, I think it's 5 problems. Anyhow, our first question, and this is very similar to the ones we did on yesterday's video. What volume would be occupied of 40 grams of oxygen gas that is at a pressure of 125 kilopascals and a temperature of 32 degrees Celsius? All right, so there's our formula. And really, again, it's just figuring out a couple things. Now, I didn't list out the variables as I probably should have, but I do, we do want to remember a few things. Pressure now is in kilopascals, so that is going to guide the R value that we use. Volume will come out in liters because it always does. N is moles. So here's the first thing we have to do. We have to take our grams of oxygen and we have to convert to moles. And we know that's dividing by the molar mass. The thing to not forget is the oxygen is diatomic, so O2. So 40 divided by 32 is 1.25 moles, so that'll be our N value. The other thing we have to remember with gas laws is it always has to be in Kelvin so that you don't get negative temperature numbers. And so you just add 273. So 32 with 273 is 305. And then we can just plug in the formula what we have. So we had 125 kilopascals, that's our P. That's going to guide the fact that 8.314 is the constant number that goes with kilopascal. Okay. Our volume is what we're searching with. It's going to come out in liters. We've figured out that we have 1.25 moles, and we figured out that I can't type. That should say, let me just double check. Yeah, I apologize for this typo. That should say 305. I was using a previous slide and just readjusting it. So that should be 305. I apologize. I look at my calculations and it is 305 on that. So we're good there. So again, just pay attention that I made an error right here. That should say 305. And then I just solve for B. And things are going to cancel out, and it should come out to be about 25.4 liters. Okay? So 40 grams of oxygen gas at that pressure and temperature would occupy about 25.4 liters. Okay? That's problem number 1. Oh, and I will say this as I think of it, on those quick little quizzes I have every day where you're doing the math, I have noticed as I scan the answers that most of you, and you're probably noticing this too, most of you are getting the right answer, but it really looks for exact. So if I put in the units and you didn't, or maybe I noticed on one I put in the wrong units, but I put in the units and you didn't, just look at the number, okay? Because it'll mark it wrong. I have them set so that they pop up and show you the right answer after you're done with the quiz. So most of you, as you look at that, are getting, for the most part, the right number. But it's just that it's really rigid on how things are typed in and stuff. So I've noticed that as I've looked through. Don't worry about that. It's try and get the number to match. And whether you type in the units or not, or I do or I don't, whatever, I'm sure there's a setting of leeway and stuff, but I've never really tested online, so I'm learning all this just like you are. I know other teachers have, but I haven't. All right, let's do problem 2 and then be done with it because you're tired of hearing and looking at me. This one, what is the pressure now in atmospheres? And that's key because that's going to guide the R value. If 75 grams of ammonia gas, and there's the formula for ammonia, is in 1,500 milliliters at a temperature of 15 degrees. So if we're getting used to this, hopefully we notice that the grams has, so we're looking for pressure. The volume is in milliliters, so that needs to go liters, because that's with the ideal gas law, you're really set on the numbers, the units you have to use. The temperature, of course, has to go to Kelvin, and the grams have to go to moles, and then I can plug them in the formula. So the 1,500 milliliters, and then just dimensional analysis, there's 1 liter for every 1,000 milliliters, so that comes out to be 1.5 liters. Our changing grams to moles always dividing by the molar mass. So 75 divided by 17 is about 4.4 moles. Okay. And then the temperature, you always add 273 to the Celsius number, and that should come out to 288. And I hope now, yes, I did type in all the right values again. So here's what we're looking at, is we're looking for pressure. Now what that's going to guide is, since it wants it in atmospheres, you have to use the 0.0821 number for R. Again, we work in 2 pressures, atmospheres and kilopascals. And each of them has their own R value calculated out. And so for atmospheres, it's 0.0821. We have our liters plugged in. We have our moles plugged in. We have our temperature plugged in. And I'm going to solve and just solve for P. And as I said, holy cow, 69.5 atmospheres is an incredible amount of pressure. Since 1 atmosphere is standard, and that's really kind of normal atmosphere, if you're, kind of bouncing around the outdoors and stuff, it always floats around 1, a little higher, a little lower, depending on the weather coming through. But 69.5, that's a serious amount of pressure. Okay. Anyhow, there you go. A couple practice problems to help guide you as you do the worksheet. Again, gas laws are really quite that simple. It's plug and chug stuff, just making sure the units are correct, and your algebra is good. Again, I want to stress again, we know that this week has not been smooth. We know that a lot of you have other responsibilities besides that. Just reach out, okay? Just reach out. We're trying to make it easy on you, trying to make it a smooth transition, trying to pull back. We'd be doing a lot. We would have powered through a lot more already this week if we were in the classroom. So just know we're trying to pull back, but just don't hesitate. There's so many people here that want to make sure you're successful. Anyhow, that'll do it for today. Stay apart, stay safe, and we will talk to you soon.